welcome to the channel. I'm back to break down this 5-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Excited to get into the breakdown, a bit of a smaller slate, but as I always say on these smaller slates, there's always an edge to be had, and we can go ahead and break down things in a very analytical aspect, dig a little deeper than we usually do. I think we dig pretty deep overall on this channel, regardless as far as analytics, but we can go even further, so excited to get into the breakdown. If you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my home run call of the day. And lastly, if you are interested in getting very serious about MLB DFS, I do offer an MLB DFS premium package. You get access to all the same tools that I use in building my own MLB DFS lineups. That's linked below. And let's go ahead and start breaking down the slate, get you guys in the green, get you guys winning some money tonight. And I like to do that by sorting my sheet by K-rate. It's fantasy sports. We get points for strikeouts. And the top guy on the slate today is going to be Tristan McKenzie taking on the Kansas City Royals. He comes in with a 28.5% K overall. Problem fly ball stuff has not been good. His walk rate has not been good. But he does have a 27.5% K rate against righties and a 29.7% K rate against lefties. Has given up quite a bit of hard contact to those righties in comparison to lefties. He's been pretty solid against. So, McKenzie's a little bit of a raw talent. You know, he can get a little wild as stated. And he's taking on the Kansas City Royals team tonight. That doesn't have the highest strikeout rate in the world. They're definitely starting to add a few strikeouts towards the bottom of that order. But, I mean, Benintendi's going to be back. He's a guy that I don't really think is that big of a strikeout guy. But they do have Mondesi in there who can, you know, he does have a lot of power, but he has some strikeouts in his bat. So, a little bit of a 50-50. And you're looking at McKenzie's most recent performances. He's been able to climb all the way up to 106 as recently as the 15th against Detroit. 106 pitches, 95 pitches last time out. He's had 11 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts, and 0 and 1 earned runs in both of those games. Now, keep in mind, the Angels and Detroit Tigers are two of the best possible, if not the best possible matchups right now that you could have from a strikeout aspect. I've really been targeting both of those teams. But the Royals, you know, he could definitely keep it going. He's been really on a roll here. He's 8-8 on FanDuel over on DraftKings. They have him priced at 9-3. And he's pitching in Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, which when pulling up the diagram here, you can see outfield's really big, a lot of room for those singles, doubles to land. But as far as home runs, it is very friendly. You got to really get into it to get it out of there. So he should be able to keep the ball in the ballpark, hopefully. Shane McClanahan taking on the Boston Red Sox. He comes in with a 27.7% K rate overall, a 14.9 swinging strike rate. That's top on the slate. 27.1% K rate against righties and a 30.7% K rate against lefties. Has been very, very good. The only problem really is the matchup in the Boston Red Sox is less than ideal. These Red Sox really haven't been striking out that much on the season. They do have a few bats in the heart of this order. I mean, when you're naming bats, you know, you got like Dahlback. Hunter Renfroe strikes out quite a bit. But against lefties, I mean, they're really good bats. They really succeed against lefties. They only have a 3.46 implied run total, however. He's 10-1 on FanDuel over on DraftKings. They have him priced at 10-1 as well. And I have a concern with his pitch count. I mean, he's pitched 79 and 78 pitches the last 2 times. The Rays are very quick to pull their guys. He was pitching very efficiently in both of them. 1 earned run, 2 earned runs against Baltimore, and they just pulled him. So, I mean, he's been able to work his way all the way up to 101 at times. Last time against this same Red Sox team, he pitched 88 pitches, 7 strikeouts, 1 earned run, 6 inning pitch. Like, that's a great game, but you're paying 10-1 for a guy that's maybe going to get pulled after, like, mid-80s pitches. That doesn't sit too well with me. He does have a great pitching environment in the Trop in Tampa Bay. Pulling up the diagram of the Trop, you can see it is very friendly to pitchers. A lot of red going on, you know. So I love targeting pitchers here, but I just have a hard time paying all the way for him when he's a little bit on a limited pitch count. We have some other options on this slate today, so that would be how I'd approach that. Eduardo Rodriguez in the same game, taking on the Rays. He's a guy that really is reliant on strikeouts. When he doesn't get them, he can really rile up his pitch count. And his walk rate can be bad. He has a 27.5% K overall with a 26.8% K rate to righties and a 30.8% K rate to lefties. So, you know, he can definitely strike hitters out. Like I said, it's in the Trop. Great pitching environment. He's another guy you can definitely be looking to today. And the Rays only have a 4.54 implied run total. However, I mean, the fact of the matter is we definitely have some guys with some easier matchups. And as we go along here, we're going to talk about some of those guys. And maybe don't have the top talent on the slate, but we have Touki Toussaint taking on the Colorado Rockies. It's in Coors Field, which is a little scary, unfortunately. But, you know, Colorado's a team that we have liked to target all season long, preferably when they're on the road. But Tukey can get very low owned. He's a 24.1% K overall, 47.1% ground ball rate. That's very good. A 26.8% K rate to righties and a 20.3% K rate to lefties. If you want to go to him, still waiting on Vegas lines here, but I mean, I do have my concerns with Coors Field when you're pulling up how that ballpark plays. You can see green across the board. There's a reason we don't really like targeting pitchers here. The weather is also usually very immaculate for hitting because the air in Colorado, the ball just carries, etc. But we do have Carlos Carrasco taking on Miami. We have Mike Minor taking on Cleveland. We have Keegan Thompson taking on Pittsburgh. We have Mitch Keller taking on the Chicago Cubs. All these teams are teams we've been really looking to target. So Carlos Carrasco taking on Miami specifically with a 23% K overall, 13.1 swinging strike rate, 24.5% K rate against righties, and a 21.3% K rate to lefties. Has been giving up a lot of hard contact, but if there's ever a matchup where you can really excel and not have to worry about it all that much, this could be the one. He's pitching in New York City Field. Great pitching environment for pitchers, so I definitely don't have an issue with that. You can see pulling up the diagram, a lot of red going on as far as the hitting environment, so that's always good for our pitchers. And he is 6'8" on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 8K. On FanDuel specifically, really like that price tag. He's been right around 80 pitches, 5 or 6 Ks a game. Was able to pitch 5 and 7 innings the last 2 times out. And, you know, kind of mediocre, but when you're looking at the matchup against the Marlins, it doesn't get much better. So on FanDuel specifically, that 6.8 discount, I mean, he really stands out to me. And then you have Mike Minor taking on Cleveland. He might be like my favorite pitcher on the slate, ironically, with the matchup and the pitch count and all that fun stuff. He has a 22.8% KO overall. Hard contact stuff's really good. He has a 22% K rate against righties, a 26.8% K rate against lefties. Cleveland really has not been good. They've been striking out quite a bit. He's 8.5 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 7.2. And as far as his most recent performances, you can see 94 pitches the last 2 times out, 4 Ks, 3 Ks. The 2 times before that, he had 7 Ks twice in a row. And the last 2 times, he's taken on the Houston Astros, which is our team that just really doesn't strike out. 3 earned runs over 6 innings pitched. I mean, that's a pretty solid performance. I mean, it's a much better matchup. And I think that he could really excel. And this one, he's 8.5 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced all the way down to 7.2. So he's, you know, a guy that I would prefer on DraftKings because you get that price discount there. It's always important to compare sites. Keegan Thompson taking on Pittsburgh. He's really not expected to be good, but the Pittsburgh Pirates really aren't good either. He has like a 20-plus percentage against both sides. If you want to go to him against Pittsburgh, I wouldn't call you crazy. I wouldn't call you crazy if you want to play. It's in Chicago, so it's in Wrigley Field, 70 degrees. There's 9-mile-an-hour winds blowing in, which is significant because Wrigley Field is the field in the MLB that is most impacted by wind. When the wind's blowing out, it's very significant. When the wind is blowing in, it's very significant. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you probably have heard me say that repetitively, but I do for a good reason. And that could really help us out here. And I think you could have interest in Mitch Keller on the other side. The Chicago Cubs just haven't been good. They traded off their whole team. He has a 24.3% K rate to righties, 15.2% K rate against lefties. You know, we really do prefer to target him against very right-handed heavy lineups, if at all possible, because of those splits. And the Cubs are a little bit mixed up, but I think he could go out there and have a pretty decent game. He's 5.7 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 6.2. And I think you can play both of these guys on DraftKings. I mean, the wind's blowing in. They're taking on teams that really don't have talented lineups. And, yeah, I mean, Mitch Keller's had a much longer leash as far as getting all the way up to 90 pitches, so I would prefer him due to Thompson being limited to like right around 70 so far in his career. So I prefer Keller. But with that being said, let's go ahead and transition over to bats. As always, I like to go ahead and sort my sheet by Sierra, skill and active ERA, worst to best, figure out the top pitchers we want to target on the slate. And the worst on the slate by far today is KJ Gonzalez. The Atlanta Braves are far and away the best stack on this slate. It's really not even close. They are on the road in Colorado, the best hitting environment in baseball. They are taking on KJ Gonzalez, who does not strike out anyone. He has the worst hard contact rate on the slate with a 38.8% hard contact rate, a 600 slugging given up to righties, and a 442 slugging up to lefties. Yeah, KJ Gonzalez is not good. The Colorado Rockies bullpen is not good. And the Braves are probably going to score 20 runs tonight. Maybe exaggerating, but I mean, yikes. So we got Jock Peterson, Jorge Soler, Freddie Freeman, Austin Riley, Travis d'Arnaud, Dansby Swanson, Adam Duvall, and Adrianza. Anyone who cracks this lineup is going to be in play. They're on the road. They get the guaranteed 9th inning at bat. and they're going to be very popular. But I'll be honest with you, I really can't imagine a world in where I'd feel comfortable fading them. So you can definitely be going to them. Mitch Keller, I had mentioned being able to pitch him. You could definitely play the Chicago bats. Hard contact stuff has been terrible. 37.4% hard contact rate. The ground ball, fly ball stuff is not good. A 497 slugging to righties and a 526 slugging to lefties. However, I do have a little bit of concerns playing bats with 9-mile-an-hour winds blowing directly, and that's pushing 10 miles an hour. I always say 5-mile-an-hour is like not that all that's significant. Once you get up to 10, you're starting to get at some pretty significant impacts there. So, can definitely play the Chicago Cubs bats. You got Ortega. Frank Schwindel's been hitting a lot of bombs. Power. Ian Happ's got a bunch of power. Winslow has a bunch of power. Duffy, Hayward, Chirinos. You can play them. Keller really hasn't been that good. The Pittsburgh Pirates bullpen's not that good. I just feel like this game's going to be a massive disappointment of like a bunch of flyouts or something looking at it. But, the numbers are there to target him. And the same with Keegan Thompson. He's the next worst on the slate. The numbers are there to target him. Hard contact stuff hasn't been the worst, but he has still given up a 446 slugging to lefties. 355 slugging to righties. He's been a lot better. So you're really looking to target him with the left-handed bats for Pittsburgh. And they do have quite a few lefties in their lineup. So, Gamble, Wilmer Defoe, Brian Reynolds, Colin Moran, Yoshi, Hyun Park, Michael Perez, all lefties. There's literally expected to be one righty in this lineup and Kevin Newman. So that actually profiles very well against Thompson. We're not worried about the Chicago Cubs bullpen. So maybe the Pittsburgh Pirates could be a sneaky stack that you're looking to on this small slate. You're going to have to pick someone besides the Braves, who I mentioned is the obvious one. So, they could be going there. Zach Thompson taking on the New York Mets. He really hasn't been the greatest in the ground ball, fly ball stuff. He gives up a 453 slugging to lefties, almost identical to his pal Keegan Thompson here. The Thompson brothers not looking too good against those lefties, so you can definitely target the lefties for the New York Mets. The righties are not quite as interesting, but Jonathan Villar, Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor, Michael Conforto, Jeff McNeil, Patrick Mazeika, and you have Javi Baez and Pete Alonso to run it at your stacks. Pete Alonso, tons of power, so if you want to use him in your stacks, wouldn't call you crazy at all because, biggest power bat in that lineup. But just keep in mind, Thompson has been a lot better against those righties. For Tristan McKenzie, it's the exact opposite. He's been very effective to lefties all year. He hasn't been so good against righties, so if you were looking to stack up against him with his Kansas City Royals team, you can with the righties. So you got Whit Merrifield, Salvador Perez, Michael Taylor, Hunter Dozier, Emmanuel Rivera. Of course, I wouldn't write off the lefties if you're doing a full stack with guys like Carlos Santana, Benintendi, Mondesi. A lot of power, a lot of talent in those bats compared to the rest of the lineup in the Royals. So wouldn't call you crazy if you want to go there. We have Touki Toussaint in the Colorado Rockies game. I mentioned maybe being able to pitch in, but realistically, Colorado's the best hitting environment on the slate. If you want to just go ahead and game stack this, I wouldn't call you crazy at all. You can do pretty much anything on the slate, but a 407 slugging to righties, a 404 slugging to lefties. And like I said, it really comes down to environment. The Rockies are in a great hitting environment. Also, the Atlanta Braves bullpen's not good, so if they're able to just work Touki Toussaint's pitch count, which he does have a bit of a walk issue, as mentioned earlier, get him out of this game, there could be some fireworks with that Atlanta Braves bullpen coming in. So you got Connor Joe, Brendan Rodgers, Charlie Blackmon, Trevor Story, CJ Crone, Ryan McMahon, Ramel Tapia, Dom Nunez. I have no issues with stacking them up in the best hitting environment on the slate for sure. Mike Minor taking on Cleveland. You're really looking to target him with right-handed power. He's a lefty-handed hurler. He really gives up a lot of hard contact at times to righties with a lot of fly balls. That's 467 slugging to righties. Ground ball, fly ball stuff is not good. Cleveland could be a viable stack. I said that Mike Minor might be my favorite option as far as pitching. I still stand by that. He's priced in the mid-range. He's affordable. He gets a lot of pitches. But I think it's viable to be punting some pitchers on the slate too. I talked about Carrasco. I talked about Keller. So if you want to punt some pitchers, pay up for some bats, maybe be able to afford some of these more pricey Cleveland bats like Jose Ramirez, who's going to be in a great spot here. Great hitter overall. You got Franmil Reyes, Amar Rosario, Miles Straw, Harold Ramirez, Owen Miller, Yu Chang shows some power. Austin Hedges has a bunch of power against lefties as a catcher. Austin Mercado has been showing some hot streaks throughout his career here and there. So Indians on the road, and then I should mention the Royals bullpen's really not good. So if they're able to work Mike Minor and get him out of this game, they get to take on that bullpen. The Miami Marlins could be an interesting stack, ironically. I talked about maybe targeting Carrasco, but he does give up a 640 slugging to righties, a 435 slugging to lefties. specifically against righties, that's really, really bad. That's a lot of hard contact over a 23 innings pitch sample size. I guarantee the Marlins don't get really any ownership, and they do have some guys with some power from the right-handed side of the plate, in notably Jesus Aguilar, Lewis Brinson, Brian Anderson on such a small slate. I think that could maybe really differentiate you from the field. And then it's not like Carrasco's been that great against lefties either, with a 435 slugging give it up. Ground ball, fly ball stuff, Woba stuff has been a lot better, but if you go ahead and full stack these guys, put in a Jesus Sanchez, a Jazz Chisholm who has a bunch of power at the top, a bunch of talent, a bunch of speed, Magneria Sierra, Alex Jackson, Miguel Rojas. I don't see an issue with that at all, really. So the Miami Marlins could be an interesting. And then lastly, I mean, the Rays and the Red Sox have two of the most full, talented lineups up and down on the slate. They get the worst matchups, but for that reason, they should probably have no ownership. Both of these guys, I mean, you're looking at their numbers, pretty similar overall. Rodriguez goes with a 429 slugging to righties. McClanahan a 401 slugging to righties. Then Rodriguez goes with a 520 slugging to lefties. McClanahan with a 400. They've actually both, ironically, been worse against lefties. So something that can be really contrarian is playing the lefties here. Lefty on lefty. No one ever likes playing lefty on lefty. And you could get these guys alone. You know, Kyle Schwarber and Rafael Devers that have a bunch of power. And then on the Ray side, you could play Joey Wendell. If Brandon Lau cracks the lineup, you could play him. And I think that could be actually a really sneaky way to be contrarian on the slate. McClanahan, especially if he's going to get a bunch of ownership, being he has some of the best underlying metrics and numbers, go ahead and play a couple of those lefties against him. And same for Rodriguez. And that is my overall breakdown of this slate today. Before I let you guys go, I got to give you my home run call of the day. Let's get into it. And my home run call of the day today is Michael Conforto. Could pretty much go to any Atlanta Braves bat in that Colorado Rockies game, as mentioned in Coors Field, but that field's a little too easy. Got to give you guys a sneakier play. Tonight we have Conforto taking on Zach Thompson. The struggle against lefties really standing out with a 453 slugging over to lefties, a 343 WOBA. And then when you're breaking down the repertoire, he is very reliant on the fastball, and Conforto, a very good fastball hitter. On average, the fastball, you're looking at about a 92 to 94 mile-an-hour fastball, and Conforto features a 517 ISO with a 480 WOBA. And then as far as the secondary pitch, another fastball pitch, the cutter, and Conforto crushes that pitch as well. A 220 ISO with a 383 WOBA. Love this spot from Michael Conforto. Think you're going to get him low owned, and you can get him in your lineups because he is my home run call of the day. So there you have it, guys. Michael Conforto. Get him in your lineups. And that is all from me in this one. If you did enjoy the content, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. That would be greatly appreciated. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.